100. Can he maintain that unbeaten run over the course of the Indonesian round this weekend? Lights out on race 1 of 4 at the Mandalika International Circuit. And the immediate fast start is with Daniel Sherrill, the pole sitter. Will watch out for Furusato, the number 15, cutting his way to try and claim the racing line in towards turn number 1, but he's going to get squeezed up there between 2 bikes. Another tries to come round him. He jostles for position in the mid-pack. This is exactly what we've been saying. We've got our championship leader further back down the grid than he's ever been before, and getting rather bullied in the run towards the
Nanti dulu ya.
This makes some progress. There was Hamada that was diving down the inside with the yellow helmet on the number 8 machine, but Furusato able to dust him aside as we came through the next couple of quarters. He's up there inside the top 5. Really good start.
16 lap, guys.
The pole position able to convert that.
Yes, Furusato fighting his way back, as you say, up into 5th position. Danish is the next rider, so the next target, as it were, for him. Hakim Danish doing a great job.
Pembalap Malaysia masih jadi terdepan.
But it's Daniel Sherrill who leads the way, very tight as you'd expect among that lead group. Just a second covering the top 10 riders that are fallen towards the
Wow, sudah ada yang jatuh di tikungan ke-7.
And that's always one of those perils of the early laps of Asia Talent Cup. Although I have to say that the attrition hasn't been particularly high in this championship so far in 2021 over the course of the 2 weekends in Qatar. I think it might have been Hamada who we lost from that group. That's now confirmed on the screen. So Kanta Hamada who has fallen there on the right hander.
Yeah, and easily done down in
Kanta Hamada cross.
Running in the free practice sessions for Superbike and Supersport as well. There's a couple of areas in this track where it does get
place in Qatar 2020 and 2 9th positions in 2021.
Yeah, we're just seeing that number 5 is the rider on the move in this. That's Miyai as well down there as well, and he's been able to pick off a couple of riders in the last couple of laps, and it looks like Danish wants to trying to get down the inside as well. So keep an eye on the number 5.
Yes, Gunmi, a podium finisher in race 1 of the Qatar Grand Prix and also race 1 of the Doha Grand Prix. The 15-year-old currently 5th position in this race, and the group beginning to fracture now, or the groups beginning to fracture, as you can see. We've got 6 riders at the head of the field, all separated by a second. Then we've got 2 riders rather isolated, 7/10 of a second back, including Deo, who we picked up running wide at the end of lap number 3, and he's also with Ferdhouse out on the circuit. Herjan Ferdhouse, the number 10, who started down in 10th on the grid, who's now made his way up into 7th position. From 9th position down is a completely separate race. Best part of 5 seconds, in fact now 5.5 seconds from 9th position down. They're all setting personal best laps to try and make back lost time, but that's going to be tough to do. Back with the leaders, lap 5 of 16, new fastest lap of the race, and it's from the number 17, Messiah Hongo, doing a good job there to get on terms with Sherrill and Furusato. We've got a 3-rider group at the head of the field, and then a little bit of daylight now opening to 4th position down.
Yeah, they're breaking away in that top 3. They've got a little bit more speed. That's why it's really important for Gunmi to be able to close that gap to the number 5 as well. He's been able to clear Thompson, clear Danish as well, so he wants to try and make sure he's able to latch onto the front, make this a 4-rider group at the front of the field. He's bringing those other riders with him as well.
Yeah, so your race leaders flashing through. Daniel Sherrill thinking about a move there on the current race leader, Taya Furusato. Then it's Hongo, Mie, Thompson and Danish completing your top 6 as they stand. 7th and 8th don't look like changing, to be perfectly honest. There's 2 seconds ahead of them, and there's 3.5 seconds now behind them to Aditama, who's best of the rest in P9. Furusato, though, doing as he's done throughout 2021, controlling this race from the front.
Yeah, I was down chatting to a few of the Asia Talent Cup personnel, and I was asking them what Furusato's like, and the one thing a few people said to me was he's the real deal, and you can see in this race he's done a good job from the second row of the grid, hit the front nice and early, and he's been able to do a really good job with that in these early stages.
So your race leader pulling away out in front, or attempting to, and we've got Herlian Dandy there who has gone down, and that looks like being in the second sector of lap number 4.
Yeah, it's just down to turn 7 just before you come to those fast right left sequence in the middle of the lap, but at the front of the field you see Furusato still coming under pressure from Daniel Sherrill, but Sherrill hasn't gotten close enough to try and make an attack on him at this stage.
Yes, we saw the top 6, or we said that the top 6 had pulled away and made their own little group, but also that the top 3 had fractured ever so slightly from the other the three directly behind them. That's not the case anymore. They will push back together again, 3/4 of a second covering them, and that's mainly because Mie has been able to pick up the pace last time around. A couple of tenths of a second faster than Shiril, a few tenths of a second faster than Furusato, who is still your race leader, who is making ground in the middle sectors of the lap, who's losing it again. And that's why Daniel Shiril is right on his tail once again. Mie, the fastest man around on lap 5, now ducks to the inside. He's going to pass 2 in 1 move. Furusato realises late that he's there, has to stand the line back up before coming across to complete the apex, and then Mie aggressively moves across the path of his fellow countrymen to defend that race lead. So some good work there from the number 5.
And for me, he started the year with a 4th and a 5th in Qatar as well, and obviously enough for him. He's trying to make sure he can finish the season strong here in the Asian Talent Cup. That's a good move from him. We saw him set a fastest lap last time around. He's done really well to bridge the gaps between that leading group over the course of this race. Anytime it looked like the leading three were stretching a little bit of a lead, he was able to close right up on them.
As we can see here, Azrian Deo, who we noticed running wide earlier on from the lead group, so it's a separate fight this for 7th position, and so we have seen Jeff Feldhaus defending that P7 throughout this race. Frankly, Deo's been on his tail for the last couple of laps around. We complete lap 6, and Furusato has recovered the lead from Mie in 2nd position. Mie, though, we saw him not shy of passing his fellow Japanese youngster last time around, and he may well get the elbows out again to challenge down the inside and try and make a pass here. Shiril is sticking with them. He's in P3.
Yeah, Shiril got a good run down that start finish straight to try and get close in the run into turn 1, but certainly for Mie, it looks like through the next section, this is where he was really strong last time around. We'll see if he's able to do the same on this lap, try and attack down in towards turn 10. We saw he was really late in the brakes into 10, caught the race leader Furusato by surprise. He was able to overtake both Shiril and Furusato that time around. We'll see if he's close enough this time to try and take the lead.
Dennis a little bit wide on the curves there, and Thompson and Hongo attempting to capitalise to make their way through. Less than 6/10 of a second now, covering your lead sextet as we make our way back down in towards turn 10. The action hotspot from a lap ago, still with Furusato, your lead rider. This is the fight further back down the field from 9th position down, and a couple of Indonesian riders in this group as well.
Yeah, and certainly we've got a lot of Indonesians in the field. We've got 5 or 6 riders from the home country here in this weekend's running, and we have seen quite a few Indonesians able to have good performances in the Asian Talent Cup over the years, and in this group you have to look at the likes of Buapa as well on that number 22 machine. Just lost a couple of spots there, but he's actually looked pretty impressive at times through this season.
Yes, a couple of them making their Asian Talent Cup debuts this weekend as well. Raycat Fadilla, who had a minor fall, was pushing on in qualifying a week ago, but did exceptionally well to take 9th position on the grid on his debut. And Raycat Fadilla, who currently sits in 10th position in this race. We recover the leaders now. Furusato out in front again. He's been able to break a 1/4 of a second. Can he defend it this time? It's Mie this time around who holds 2nd position, then Danish, Thompson. Shiril's dropped all the way to 6th position. I think we're going to see what happens here.
Keep an eye on the number 21, just runs wide through those last couple of corners. You can see very high curves there on the entry to that corner as well, and then gets caught out just trying to get the gas a little bit too early, and that's what costs him his chance of being in that leading group. He's dropped down 2 seconds behind the race leader. You can see here with the race leader Furusato, he's also taken advantage of that to try and up his pace. He's down the low 1-minute 45s, which is pretty much about as fast as we've seen from him all the way through this race, and that's why we're seeing the leading group start to really fracture out.
And that's why we're seeing the live championship standings as well, because if Shiril were to finish down in 6th position, Furusato potentially extend his lead to 48 points. Might be about to gain a position here because we've seen Thompson running wide. Hongo moves in front of him into 4th position. Shiril with an opportunity. This is where we find out what Daniel Shiril is able to do without that toe from Furusato, because if he gets in front of the 2 riders directly in his path here, he's going to have something like a second to cover to 3rd position.
Yeah, still going to have a bit of ground to make up in that position, and that looks like well, another rider's gone down. It looks like it's down at turn 10. And, we've seen a bit of action down there all the way through the running so far.
I think that's to Timon, who has gone down on on lap 8 of 16. So the Thai rider was on the fringes of the points, who was in that 5-way battle, and we're going to see the incident perhaps here, and it's going to be 2 riders involved. That's a straightforward situation of Taimon, who has gone down and collected Turaki Buapa, I think that is, who was alongside him, and he has now remounted to continue on in the race, but clearly out of contention in a pack race like that one. And that group has now become a 6-rider group instead of the 8 or so who were all involved.
Yeah, it's starting to split up a little bit, and the reason for that is you've got to try and make those attacks, and you can see there for both of those riders on the run down into 10 for Wappa, he was at least able to get himself remounted, get back out there, but for Tom Timon, he's obviously out of this race. It looks like the stewards are going to investigate that incident as well. It did look like number 16 of Tom Timon was at fault for that, but also a bit of a racing incident there. He's going to try and make moves into turn 10.
Yes, it does look as though that's the passing pleasant choice for these Asia Talent Cup riders. And Wacharan took time on. The 18-year-old from Thailand left Qatar with a couple of points to his name, looked set for his best result here today, fighting in that 8-rider group. And unfortunately, it's all come to nothing with an incident there also involving Buapa. Back to the front of the field, Furusato still leads it. It's Mie in second position, Daniel Shuril fighting his way through. I think now up into third position, coming through Danish on the inside of him there. You can see the number 13, that's Danish on the outside. Shuril, the number 21, making his way through, and Carter Thompson sticking with them, as is Hongo. So now this is 4 riders in contention for a podium position. We've been in this situation before, where the top 2 have been able to break away in the Asia Talent Cup. It's 0.6 of a second now, the gap to bridge for Daniel Shuril. A new personal best for Shuril last time around. He's just come across the line. That's Hongo who's gone down, coming off the final turn. So Hongo, who was one of the riders in the 4 riders, the quartet, chasing third position, he's gone down spectacularly there, coming off the final turn.
Yeah, there's going to be gravel pushed onto the track as well in the exit there at the last corner, but that's a shame for Hongo. But we've seen that obviously in that second part of the group, the riders have to push on because they're seeing it start to split out, and he just runs out onto the green paint, and there is that bit of a kick off the curb there for him. You can see there the
level of the curve certainly different to the level of the track and the asphalt surface around the curve. I was saying earlier on, Steve, when we were watching free practice in Superbikes, saw Jonathan Ray at one point come down off a curve and get all unsettled by it. These curves do seem to be particularly high here in Indonesia. This is a new venue, and we're talking about smoothing out the circuit, but it's not smooth offline, that's for sure. That'll stop them from abusing the green paint, won't it?
Yeah, you're definitely going to be exceeding track limits if that's the penalty, and Hongo just caught out by that. But those are riders in that second part of the lead group. They do need to push on, otherwise they're not going to be able to catch up to the 2 race leaders. It does look like at this stage, so Furusato and Mia have that enough of an edge. In third position, Daniel Shuril, he's trying to catch that, but he's got about a second to make up.
Make up 0.4 of a second last time around on Furusato, the race leader. That was on lap number 9 with a new personal best from Daniel Shuril, the number 21. You can just see coming into the background of that shot there, he's leaving the 2 riders directly behind him further adrift. Danish and Thompson don't look to be able to live with him. He's actually managed to make a gap of half a second on this lap around to the riders behind him, and another new personal best lap from Daniel Shuril, and having dropped back to 6th position at one stage after a minor error that cost him 2 seconds to the leader. He's now only 0.6 of a second behind Furusato out in front. Lap 11 of 16. There is still time for Shuril really to make this a 3-rider fight for those podium places.
This is where it's really important for Furusato to get his head down as well, because we see they stretch out a little bit of a lead over number 5 of Mia as well at around about 0.3 of a second. So he is trying to open up a bit of a gap, but he'll also know that Daniel Shuril is that rider on the charge, and Shuril's done a really good job to set his fastest lap, close again within a couple of tenths of a second in second position.
Yes, and Mia doing a good job really to stick with the leader Furusato, as we say, and Shuril an exceptional job to close back in on him. Here is Fadila Aditama, who we were talking about earlier on, the man who'll be taking his place in the Rookies Cup for 2022. He's only had one race finish so far this season, and that was race 1 of the Doha Grand Prix. Came home in 8th position, and Aditama up in P6 here today. That, frankly, is the best he can hope for, unless there's further drama up in those top 5 positions, because we've got a trio at the front, separated by just 0.6 of a second. Shireen is right with them now, and within striking distance of making a pass on Mie for 2nd position here, still Furusato leading. Then we've got a second to Carter Thompson in P4 and Denish in P5, and behind them 9 seconds to Aditama and Fadila, a couple of Indonesian riders there scrapping it out for P6. Slight mistake there from Shireel. That's given a bit of breathing room to Mie in P2.
Yeah, he's going to be able to pick up the slipstream then, the start-finish straight down, close that gap a little bit. But at the front of the field, we're seeing Furusato again in those low 1 minute 45s, but the fastest rider in the group is still Daniel Shireel, even with that mistake at the end of that.
So Shireel closing back down on Mie and Furusato. As through on the inside comes Denish, Hakan Denish coming through for 4th position on Carter Thompson. But unless something dramatic happens among those top 3, which is entirely possible in the closing stages, then it does look as though they're only scrapping for P4. They're making entertainment of it, that's for sure. Thompson and Denish scrapping and swapping.
Yeah, and you can see Thompson there, number 6 machine, just making sure he was able to hold on to that 4th position. We've seen him have good results so far this year, 3 top 5s in the opening 2 rounds of the year in Qatar, so he's been adapting well to an Asia Talent Cup bike, running inside top 5 again in this race. Wants to come out in that battle, or top of that battle with Denish.
Yes, and meanwhile, up at the head of the field, it is Daniel Shireel, who knows that this is crucial in the context of the championship for him. Needs to get as many points off Furusato as he possibly can. Furusato, of course, with that 41-point lead coming into this race. So to keep things as best as possible within his own hand, Shireel needs to be taking victories and needs to see Furusato finishing a little bit further down the order. We're only at the halfway mark of the 2021 Asia Talent Cup. 4 races still remaining, including this one, of course. But further back, it is as tight as anything, from 2nd down to 6th in the series standings. Only 13 points between them. So anything that happens to the front runners in the championship, and that makes a major impression. We said that earlier on with Kanta Hamada going down, sitting 5th in the standings, and he is going to lose out here to the other riders around him in terms of points. Back to the front then, and it's Furusato who's leading. He looks to have consolidated his advantage on this latest lap around. A new personal best lap, that's why, to 1:44.922, and he stretches 4/10 out over Mie, which means that Shireel has got to go. He needs to leave Mie behind him, and he's got to stick with Furusato if he's to have hopes in the remainder of this race.
Yeah, nice clean move there by Shireel to take 2nd spot in the run into turn 1, and now the key thing for him is to be able to make sure he's close enough to try and attack into turn 10. We saw that Mie was the rider that was able to attack into turn 10 earlier on. Shireel, for all the time he spent behind Furusato, we didn't really see him try and make a move on him.
Yes, the gap from 3rd to 4th last time around was extended by 1.5 seconds. So Carter Thompson and also Hakim Denish, there's no way that they're going to get back into actual podium contention from here. 1:46.5 and 1:46.8 respectively, compared to that 44.9 from the race leader Furusato. Shireel and Mie have both responded on lap 13, and Furusato stands up, has a good look over his shoulder just to check how many people are in this group, and I can tell you that unless one of these 3 riders goes down, these are going to be your podium trio. The question is, in what order?
Yeah, for Furusato, that's another time we've seen him have that big look over his shoulder. He's not afraid of checking to see who's around him, and he's not trying to just keep his head down and focusing on his lap times. He wants to know what's happening around him. That shows he's probably got a little bit of pace in hand as well for these final 3.5 laps.
Yes, the top 5 in this race are all in the top 6 positions in the championship. Hamada, who crashed at turn 10 earlier on in this race, is the odd one out, and the top 3 in points terms, a tie at the moment between Gunmir and Hakim Denish, settled by the best result, which was Gunmir's 2nd place in the opening race of this campaign, which means that the top 3 in the championship standings are the top 3 on track at present, and they are in the order they are in the championship, which would mean that the gaps between them all would continue to extend. 3 laps to go, and Shireel losing ground again around the first turn of lap 14 with a bit of an error.
Yeah, Furusat is trying to turn the wick up there as well at this stage, and last time around he was able to lose a couple of tenths of a second with that look over his shoulder to see who was around him, but he's still got a good amount of pace in hand. We'll see if he's able to really try and stretch out his lead now in this lap. He looks like he's got his head down, wants to try and really be aggressive and open up a bit of a gap. It was only 2 tenths of a second when they came across the line. It's up to half a second now.
Yes, as you can see on the screen, the gap to the leader, 8 tenths of a second for Mie in third position, and it could very well turn into a duel between Shiril and Mie here for second place, because Furusato really kicking on. Shiril responding around that latest sector through the twistiest stuff and in towards turn 10. They're making their way now, the leaders, through turns 11 and 12. It switches on to the final sector as we switch back to the battles further down the other day. Well, they switched at just the right time there, making a lunge down the inside. I think that might have been of Aditama, and both of them have gone down and into the gravel trap. And Deo looks, Aditama looks none too pleased with Deo there after that ambitious move down the inside. Another incident at turn 10.
Yeah, and for Aditama, that was out of 6th position and on course for a really good performance here this whole round. See Carter Thompson then make a move through the fast right-handers at the end of that.
And this will be for 4th position as Hakim Danish loses a place. Carter Thompson then through back into P4. These two have been swapping and changing. I suspect that if we'd been watching just that battle, we would have seen another 100 of those overtaking manoeuvres. We're now on to the penultimate lap of the race for the leaders. Furusato 4 tenths of a second up ahead of Shiril, who's got in front of Mie and made a 3 tenths of a second advantage.
Yeah, and you can see there Aditama there on the number 3 going down, and again, like you said, Alex, another move into turn 10. It's easy to be a little bit ambitious on the run into there, and just to have an instant like that at front of the field, though. Furusato's doing a good job now just to keep that lead at around about 3 tenths of a second. Shiril's digging in. Last time around in the final sector, he did close back to within a couple of tenths of a second, but it's really difficult to try and close that gap down in Furusato.
And haven't we seen that already in 2021 in the Asia Talent Cup? Furusato happy to lead at the front of the field, happy to try and break his rivals, but pure pace, not too worried about the slipstream advantage that's given to the riders behind him, because he knows he's got an inherent pace advantage. He wasn't able to show it in qualifying here a week ago, but thanks to the free practice sessions as well earlier on today, he's clearly got to grips with this 4.3 kilometre Mandalika International Circuit, our first ever race here around this venue, and it's in the Asia Talent Cup. But it looks like the one thing that hasn't changed is our race leader. Furusato out in front, looking set to extend his series lead.
Yeah, Shiril's doing a good job in this lap though, holding with him, and he's a tenth of a second faster so far, but the clock is winding down all the way. It's really important now for Shiril to get close enough to try and attack into turn 1.
It's looking as though it's going to be the same top 2 for 3 races in a row. We had this finishing order between Furusato and Daniel Shiril in both of the races at the Doha Grand Prix. Furusato has had only 1 finishing position in 2021, and they've all been worth 25 championship points. Shiril then 2 tenths further down, and we've got a fall, and is that Danish? Yes, it is. It's Danish who's gone down in his fight with Carter Thompson. Last time over the line, he was in front, I think, of Thompson in a battle for 4th place. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, keep an eye in the background, and you're going to see for Danish, just tries to be a little bit aggressive through that last corner, trying to make sure he's able to close up on Carter Thompson to set up a move on the final lap, and just asks a bit too much of his Honda machinery.
Yes, now look at the leaders. A tenth of a second between them on this final lap. Shiril has managed to find something a little bit special, a little bit extra. He was stuck down in 6th position at one stage. He's fought his way through onto the tail of Furusato. Furusato still unbeaten in 2021. Daniel Shiril might be about to have a go at stopping that from being the scenario. They make their way now in towards turn 10. This has been an action hotspot all race long. It's been an incident hotspot all race long as well. Furusato there defending to the inside. It's going to be single file through here. Turns 11 and 12 in towards the final sector. Shiril chooses now down the inside into 12. Catches Furusato by surprise. Opportunity for Furusato on the number 15 here to make a recovery in similar fashion as they come off 13 and 14. What about a lunge into turn 16, the slowest corner on the circuit? Daniel Shiril looking for his first race victory since his return to the Asia Talent Cup. He was last a winner in Thailand 2018. He's fighting for the lead here against Furusato, the championship leader, who goes soaring around the outside bravely. 2 turns to go, 16 and now 17. They come through the left-hander, and it's Furusato who once again leads. It is Taiyo Furusato of Japan to make it 5 wins out of 5, and the inaugural race victory of the mandalika international circuit goes to Tayo Furusato. The first time this season that he's been off pole position, the first time he's ever been off pole position in the Asia Talent Cup, but he doesn't disappoint. He comes through to the front, he leads almost throughout. Daniel Sherrill was disappointed with that, shaking his head, heading his hands practically as he made his way back in towards turn number one. Sherrill second best, but only by 0.2 of a second. That's 3 races in a row now where he's tried to give Furusato a real run for his money. Gumie with his third podium finish of this 2021 campaign, second time that he's finished in P3. Carter Thompson, an isolated 4th position in the end after late drama for Hakim Denish. So it does look as though we're only going to have 14 finishers to this race. I think I cursed it earlier on when I said that there hadn't been that many retirements in the Asian Talent Cup in 2021. And that means that Fadilla on the Rekat Fadilla making his debut in the Asia Talent Cup is a strong performer, the Indonesian rider with P5 ahead of Herjan Firdaus, who takes P6, and Sherrill, Pratama, Fujita and Buapa eventually remounting to come home for 10th place. So a bit of wacky races at times, but the one thing that was, as we might have anticipated before the lights went out, a fine victory that from Furusato, bowled around that final sector in particular.
Yeah, Furusato coming through from the second row of the grid, and he'll have to do the same again in tomorrow morning's race, but certainly for him, he was able to show once again the talent that he has on offer. That last corner move that he made through the long right-handers, the ever-decreasing radius right-handers, it really was impressive. That took the breath away, really, and Daniel Sherrill did nothing wrong during the course of that race. He holds the right line on the run into those right-handers. You saw him whenever he came across the line, he had to look up to the skies and just think, what do I have to do to win a race?
And aggressive when he needed to be as well through turn 12. I wasn't expecting really to see a move there, but Sherrill got close enough to try and strike and capitalised on the opportunity.
Yeah, and I think for Sherrill, put everything he could onto this and left it all on the track, and we saw that he was able to set fast lap times to bridge himself back up to the 2 race leaders, but ultimately in that final lap, Furusato just had that little bit in hand, and really daring move by Furusato, but that's why he's the rider that's already guaranteed to be on the World Championship grid next year.
This is one of the men of the moment as far as the Indonesian spectators here this weekend will be concerned. Rekat Fadilla, the number 24, on his Asia Talent Cup debut, and coming home for 5th position. A couple of Indonesian riders scoring decent points here today, and every reason then for the spectators to be satisfied, and hopefully their riders will come back for more here over the course of this weekend. We've still got 3 races to go in the Asia Talent Cup for 2021, and indeed for this Indonesian round. We've got effectively 2 rounds this weekend, round 3 and round 4 of the Asia Talent Cup, with 4 races, as I say, in total. So Daniel Sherrill is paddling his way back towards the podium area. We will have celebrations with our top trio. But Furusato, as far as he's concerned, another race victory. It's only 5 points gained, damage limitation for Daniel Sherrill. But if he is a race winner here tomorrow, that will be enough to seal the Asia Talent Cup.
Yeah, and certainly you wouldn't bet against it for Furusato with the form that he's been in, and just the manner in which he was able to take that race victory, and could well be the latest Asia Talent Cup champion as early as the opening race of tomorrow. And certainly from that point on, it's going to be a very different weekend as well, because we also have a qualifying session tomorrow morning, and that'll set the grid then for races 3 and 4 this weekend.
Yes, we're watching a future Grand Prix rider, and don't we know it, the way he carried himself in that race.
Yeah, he looked like he had it in hand all the way through, and that last lap move, to be that cool and calm after being stuck down the inside through the fast corners in the middle of the lap, that really does show that he's able to keep a cool head, and that's what you want to see in the Asia Talent Cup from these riders. This is one of the big talent pools that's available to the Grand Prix paddock and to the Superbike World Championship as well, and certainly on the road to MotoGP, he's been able to show just how good he can be. Even if you think back to last year, he actually led both races in Qatar on the last lap, but got caught out. He hasn't been caught out this year.
Plenty of character being shown by Daniel Sherrill as well today. The number 21 coming home for another 2nd position. That's 3 in a row for him. The wait continues for a first victory since 2018. But as I say, plenty of character, and that's not surprising given his remarkable story, as I mentioned at the top of the programme.
Yeah, really has been impressive to see the recovery that he's made from those injuries in Sepang a few years ago, and we saw in this race again that he's got the heart to try and keep himself in it and dig deep to try and close the gap to those race leaders. He rode a really good race. Just ultimately, one other rider rode a slightly better race.
His right leg completely shattered in that incident, to the extent that initially the prognosis was that it may well be an amputation. I understand stem cell surgery and so on was used to get Daniel Sharil rehabilitated. The fact that he's back on a bike at all is pretty incredible. 3 podiums in a row though, and that is his 8th podium in the Asia Talent Cup by my reckoning, and that really does take some doing. He really has done a brilliant job so far this weekend. Been among the stars of the show. The top 3 in that race are also the top 3 in your Asia Talent Cup series as a whole. As far as points are concerned, Furusato now leads it by 46 over Mie, who takes a clear third now. He is 52 back from Furusato, so still could theoretically have a role to play in the Asia Talent Cup as far as title winning is concerned, but it's going to really take a derailment here for Furusato over the remaining 2 days of competition.
Yeah, it's hard to see it considering the form he's been in all the way through the season so far, and we'll wait and see how tomorrow goes for him, but certainly Furusato is going to want to get that championship run as early as possible, and that'll be race 2 tomorrow.
On the evidence of what we've just seen, if anyone's going to stop Furusato over the course of this weekend, it will be Sharil, and it would be, to be perfectly honest, fitting to see him get a race victory at some stage in this 2021 Asia Talent.
Well, you can't bet against Gunmaye as well, because he was very impressive in this race. We saw him able to set a series of fastest laps and come through that leading pack in the early stages, so he's going to feel that he's got a chance of being able to close up and really challenge tomorrow as well. But certainly Daniel Sharil looks like, from that pole position in particular, that he's going to have a good chance of being able to try and take the fight once again to Furusato.
It's Gunmaye taking the 3rd position in race 1. Just lacked a little bit of pace in the closing stages, dropped off on those last 2.5 laps, and eventually finishes 1.4 seconds down, but he was able to take the fight to Furusato until, well, certainly for the first 13, 14 laps, frankly, on the number 5, and we saw him fighting his way through the race stage to hit the front as well. Tried to unsettle Furusato, but he is a cool head, is the youngster, just 16 years of age, your race winner. Second place going the way of Daniel Sharil, and your race winner, the number 15 of Tayo Furusato. Second place, and the trophy being given to Daniel Sharil. It's 3rd second place in a row, so he's only lost 15 points over the last 3 races. The majority of the deficit comes from the opening 2 of the season, and Daniel Sharil, number 21, finished in 7th position and 6th in the opening 2 rounds of his return, his comeback event, effectively, the Qatar Grand Prix. Gap then is 46 points. Furusato, once again, your race winner.